In the current era of the gaming industry, AAA publishers have had a constant bad rep, mostly because of companies the likes of EA, Activision Blizzard, Bethesda, the same kinds of people who can make shit shows the size of Fallout 76. But with the rise of some other publishers like CD Projekt RED, they've made a lot of efforts to benefit both the company and their customers. Now, I haven't played a lot of CDPR's games apart from like The Witcher 3, but it's only just the console ports. But I do understand the praise that people give it, and it's been getting over the years. And I think it deserves it. It's well worth the effort. The game's art style and graphics are just amazing to look at. It's got a great soundtrack, and apart from the issues that I had with the console ports, the game does offer some really interesting RPG elements. Apart from that, I'm also quite hyped for Cyberpunk 2077, and I managed to get a pre-order of the game thanks to a friend of mine who gifted it to me. Now, let's just hope that when November comes in, Cyberpunk doesn't make my computer commit Sudoku. CD Projekt has made quite a lot of progress with a lot of the games that it's come out with, but the author of this article claims that we should push all of that aside just because they don't deserve it, and he has some reasons to point out. Now, before I even begin to utter the first letter of the article, I want to make it very clear that I'm going into this with as little bias as possible. And I'm already achieving that as someone who hasn't played enough of CDPR games, and as someone who is worried that people might take away my gamer badge just because I didn't appreciate enough of The Witcher 3. I also want to remind everyone that this video is merely just a response to the article, and I might also make some satirical comments, but I don't want anyone going to finding this author and harassing him. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and start reading the article. Let's see if his points are really valid. Okay, so the article is from a website called The Gamer. That's a really creative name you got there. Guys, I'm gonna rename this channel to The YouTuber. Alright, so the article is called It's Time to Stop Worshipping CD Projekt RED, and it's written by Patrick Tierney. CD Projekt RED is incredibly popular in the gaming community, despite having really only one game that is any sort of Alright, hold on. I haven't even gotten into the entire paragraph and I already have a problem with this article. The main problem is that it's a grammatical error, and this is making it really hard for me considering that I'm certified grammar Nazi. Anyway, despite having really one game that is of any sort of household name, The Witcher 3, this developer has gotten a surprising amount of name recognition and, perhaps more importantly, goodwill from fans and the community at large. The question is, what made fans start to worship the ground this developer walks on? Now, let's just put that dumb grammar error aside. It's not actually a big problem in the article, except for me, of course. But the main issue with this paragraph is that the author is claiming that CDPR has been getting an entire community and getting so much respect based on one game only, which is The Witcher 3. Patrick isn't entirely wrong with this statement, but it's just that he's kind of lying by omission. You see, The Witcher 3 is definitely CDPR's most successful game, and it did bring the most community outreach by far. Well, at least until Cyberpunk 2077 comes in, but that's something else we can talk about later when it actually does come out. But what I'm trying to say here is that Witcher 3 isn't definitely the only thing that people know about CDPR. There has been a couple of games that they made, of course, which is the entire Witcher franchise. And while they don't have a lot of games yet, their community definitely did start from the beginning. I don't think Patrick was trying to make it sound bad, but at least to me, it kind of sounds like he's downplaying CDPR's progress and the effort they put. Kind of like how Jake Paul called Cody Ko a backend developer. Anyway, let's just move on to the next paragraph. Following the release of The Witcher 3, CD Projekt RED has been lionized by RPG fans and the game industry alike. The Witcher 3 was nominated for numerous awards, culminating in CD Projekt RED winning the Best Developer Steam Award in 2018 still riding the wave of the popular 2015 game. It gained the reputation of both being one of the great RPG developers and a plucky indie underdog. This reputation has only increased as CDPR has gotten closer to releasing their next RPG, Cyberpunk 2077. Okay, so there's nothing really that much to refute against because the second paragraph is repeating most of the same points as the first one, which is CDPR has built an entire presence based on just The Witcher 3, only The Witcher 3. Again, not entirely wrong, but lie by omission. There are people who have only played Witcher 3 because it's the most popular game of the year or it's got some traction by many YouTubers and all that. And then there are people who actually played Witcher 3 because they liked the previous two games so much that they wanted to see what The Witcher 3 does better. You have multiple audiences that you should consider instead of just thinking, oh, The Witcher 3 is the only reason why people know about CDPR. So yeah, that's the only thing. And then yeah, I was joking about the whole downplaying thing, but apparently it's just brought back in again. For real this time. He calls CDPR a plucky indie underdog. Now, it's true CDPR isn't actually that big of a name as opposed to giants like EA, Activision, Sony, Nintendo, all those kind of names which everyone knows, especially the casuals. But I don't think that they're a completely indie developer, at least not in that kind of term. They are, yes, making their own games. They don't have any other studio publishing them except their parent company, which is CD Projekt. So technically they are indie, but the way that Patrick wrote it is just so demeaning and insulting towards how much effort they put. Anyway, let's just move on. The Witcher 3 is not a bad game. It's an objectively good game actually, but it's not necessarily revolutionary as an RPG. Even if it was, it's premature to exalt a game studio based on one big hit. Now, I can't really comment that much on it for real this time because I'm not that much of an RPG fan. I mean, I have played a few RPGs, but I can't really comment that well on how it does as an RPG. So I think I'm just gonna give a point to it, I guess. If the only issue with CD Projekt RED was that they have an unusually large fandom for the one popular game they've released, there would be no issue. After all, other RPG developers like Blizzard or Bethesda have large dedicated fan bases, and they receive backlash every time they have a censorship scandal or a buggy update. Yet, CDPR has been seemingly canonized to the point where they cannot receive criticism, and any scandals they have are defended by their fans. Guys, okay, so I need to think of why CDPR doesn't actually get that much hate. And I might sound like an idiot, but feel free to let me know if I'm right or wrong. I might sound crazy, but I think people don't hate them that much because they actually make games that people want and not just for the sake of money. They also don't put any monetization schemes like microtransactions or surprise mechanics. They don't actually make DLCs for the sake of money. They also use them to expand the story of certain games. Man, it's really hard to come up with a single fucking good reason as why CDPR actually does some good stuff. I mean, even if I do try to come up with it, people might think that I'm insane. They might think I'm a psychopath. Well, I guess I might be, so you might as well lock me up and throw away the key. CD Projekt RED is not without its scandals either. GOG, a CD Projekt owned distributor.
Das war ein Befehl! Der Angriff Steiners war ein Befehl! Verschickt sie!
GOG, a CD Projekt owned distributor of classic games, routinely tweeted alt-right dog whistles, making jokes about transphobia, STDs, and Gamergate. Anyone raising concerns about GOG making edgy jokes or seemingly supporting misogynist gaming groups was shouted down by GOG's fans, including anti-SGW and General Shill Ian Mas Cheong. In addition, Cyberpunk 2077's Twitter has published controversial transphobic tweets as well, leaving once again to question about CD Projekt RED's potential bigotry, which was then met by impassioned defenses of even the smallest criticisms. In this article, the author is just saying, those jokes are bad because I don't like them. Now, one of the jokes that are referenced in the article is this tweet that was deleted a year and a half ago, which was a LGBT joke made by Cyberpunk 2077's team. And looking back at it now, it's certainly not the most hilarious thing I've ever seen. I'm certainly not gonna get a hoot and holler out of this, but it was kind of funny. It's not that bad of a joke. I also think that it shouldn't have gotten this much of a controversy, let alone any controversy, for just making a simple light joke. I mean, it's not like they were actually targeting at LGBT. And then there was a hashtag that was incorrectly used by the GOG.com team, at least not like in a way that's insulting them. See, the joke was used by an LGBT related community because of something about Trump administration. I'm not going to get political. But the point was that it's about the transgender people. And GOG was just making a joke with the hashtag itself, not based on the community. But I guess people got too offended about that and they wanted to take them down. Something that people can't get away with anymore because jokes aren't jokes anymore. They actually represent what you're saying. Alright, so let's just move on to the next one. Even outside of social media presence, CD Projekt RED is not a great company. The company has an abysmal record when it comes to overwork and crunch culture. In 2017, the company faced numerous complaints from former employees that worked on The Witcher 3 over the long hours they were forced to work as the deadline of the game approached. The company's co-founder, Martin Iwinski, defended the company's culture of overworking employees, saying that it was necessary for creating innovation. Okay, I think I finally found some common ground. Out of everything that we've read so far, which either didn't make sense or just didn't have good enough points to justify it, I think this is the one thing that I can agree on with Patrick here. For those of you who are unaware, work crunch is a very big issue in all businesses, especially in places like gaming and any other entertainment fields. Basically, it's when workers are being forced to produce a product past their allocated work hours in order to either meet a deadline that's very short or just to make it as polished as possible despite having enough time to work on it. This isn't something that the development team wishes to do, but more often is usually done by the management. Now, because this video doesn't need to go on long enough about work crunch culture, I might talk about it in a future video, but for now, I'm just gonna end it here. What I am gonna say about it is that I agree with Patrick, and what The Witcher 3 development team had gone through is just really terrible. The employees shouldn't have gone through all this stress just to make a perfect game. It seemed like CDPR was trying to improve, if not eliminate, its crunch problem. Iwinski declared that for Cyberpunk 2077, the company was shifting towards a non-obligatory crunch policy, which is granted not eliminating crunch, but is at least better than an obligatory crunch policy. However, even this minor improvement was not meant to last. Since Cyberpunk 2077's release date has been delayed, CDPR has told investors that the development team will be required to put in crunch hours. I was already aware of the game being delayed to November this year, and when I heard about this non-obligatory crunch hour thing, I was kind of hopeful now, because not only was the game going to be improved on in probably as good of a level as Witcher 3, but it would also not put it at the expense of the workers. And then I thought, oh, that's great. But then a couple of days ago, I came upon an article that was like about a month old from Polygon where CDPR is like, fuck that, we're gonna make it obligatory work crunch now. Despite the delay, I kind of feel regretful about owning Cyberpunk. Not because of anything that might affect the game's quality, but because I might not actually play this if this actually goes at the expense of pushing workers past their time and are being pressured to make it as perfect as possible. Alright, so we're at the last paragraph. We're almost done, we're just hitting it home with this last paragraph. CD Projekt RED is a corporation, and it'll do what corporations do. It's not a scrappy underdog or an indie studio working on a passion project. Their goal is to make money. This could mean that they'll make jokes to attract the alt-right gamer demographic, or overwork their employees to keep labor costs down and meet the deadline. No one needs to make it easier for them by doing free PR work. Alright, first off, that alt-right gamer joke is kind of hypocritical for you because your name is literally part of the said demographic, so you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot. Secondly, you're not really making your stance correct with how CD Projekt is actually represented. You call them a plucky indie underdog, just like in the beginning of the article, but then as you end it, you're saying that they're not a scrappy underdog anymore. So which one is it? Are they indie or are they like a big corporation? You really need to make up your mind on that, Patrick. Finally, what you claim about them just doing it for the money isn't entirely true. Yeah, of course companies are doing it for money, but CD Projekt does a lot more. If you think they're really in it for the money, then you'd hear about them making nothing but microtransactions and unnecessary DLC for every single game that they have. CD Projekt RED might not be the saint of the gaming industry, but it does anything better than most developers and publishers. I could list about every single thing that CD Projekt has done to improve the community, but I sorta did that already earlier in this video, so you can either timestamp to that part of the video or, I don't know, just look up on CD Projekt and what they've done. So here's what I thought of the article so far. Apart from like a few grammatical errors and spelling mistakes, most of the article is just boiled down to nothing but trying to be cool to hate CD Projekt RED. To those of you who are watching this from thegamer.com or even Patrick Tierney himself, here are a few pointers that you guys need to keep in mind if you're gonna write anything next time. Firstly, you gotta come up with better points than just offensive jokes and CDPR got famous because of one game. Have a look at the actual catalog of their games that probably built their fanbase to Witcher 3's point. You do realize that the game has the number 3 for a reason, right? Secondly, you really gotta stop getting offended by jokes. This isn't just a gamer.com exclusive criticism, it's a journalism issue. And for crying out loud, take your work to check before you actually publish it. I know you guys have a fucking editor, in fact there's like 10 of them, so have one of them actually check it before you publish it. But anyway, that's about it for the video. If you enjoy these kind of responses, I might actually do more of them as soon as possible, just to fill in the gap for bigger projects. And rest assured, I am actually making some more videos like gaming and movie critiques. It's just gonna take a longer while. But in the meantime, feel free to subscribe to my channel for more to come soon. And go ahead and follow my social pages. I also do some written reviews where it's not actual long articles, but more just like brief summaries of my points on a certain movie or game. I have one for Letterboxd and another for Backlog. So go ahead and follow those if you want to see what I watch or play in my spare time when I'm not making a video. I'll see you guys in the next video when the coronavirus makes everyone into a bat except for me because I've been locked inside my gaming bunker.